Hello and welcome back to another video on Tripsichore SunSalutes, how I practice them, how I teach them, how I embody them, how I understand them. This video is going to be about the Khandu. So the Khandu is the fourth sun salutation in what I call the Tripsichore's basic five. The Khandu is really significant because this is the first sun salutation where things drastically change after the forward bend, the high arch, the inhale high arch to the exhale forward bend. This is where we begin to look at placing the weight into the hands and begin to look at inversions in that sort of capacity. Downward dog is classically what we would call an inversion. Inversion being the hips, the pelvis, this whole area, the buttocks area, is above the head. That is kind of an inversion where your head is lower than your heart. So in a downward dog position, we would say that's an inversion, but this is where it's getting into that sort of advanced-y sort of moment where the weight is now going, the majority of the weight is going onto the hands, and you are taking it to a point where there's very little to no weight in the legs or the feet. This is just the beginning look at that. So I'm going to look at that right now. So the first or the only moment, let's just say, is when you come from the high arch to the forward bend. So you've exhaled here into the forward bend. The following inhalation, now remember the weight is in the balls of the feet. Just, you know what, I'm going to backtrack just for a moment. To have any degree of success with these sun salutations that take it into handstands, pinchas, all of that, there has to be a certain amount of strength, core strength, shoulder strength, upper back strength, and believe it or not, arm strength. And also flexibility within the wrists, within the shoulders, within the hinge at the hip, which also kind of goes with the lengthening to the back of the leg, mainly the hamstring here. There has to be a degree of flexibility. If you are tight all over, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a grunting and a powering your way through, which in itself has its benefits and can get you there. But that's not Tripsichore yoga. So there you go. I am wearing my yoga socks here. These little toe socks, these little Japanese toe socks with the little bits on the bottom. I'm wearing that because you can wear those when you are struggling with this. So I have this here as an example because they allow you to do is to take the weight onto the tip, like ballerina, tip, toe, and because it's fabric, you can slide it back, as opposed to when it's like skin and there's too much weight, it kind of gets stuck. So that's why I'm wearing the toe socks. So back to what I was talking about. So here, this is the second breath, and we're into it already. So this is where I mean where there's drastic difference now. And it just continues on to the end of the practice. Okay? So you've exhaled here in this forward bend. Now the inhale, remember the weight is on the balls of the feet. The inhale is going to pull the rib cage forward as it does. And at the same time, you're going to take the knees forward, and that takes the weight even more onto the balls of the feet. I'm going to do this catty corner so you can see that my heels are slightly off. They're not up. I'm not intentionally bringing them up, but they're slightly off because of the direction of what I'm achieving with the torso and the knees with the inhale. That's your inhale. Remember to keep your spine as straight as possible. Now on the exhale, trying to keep the knees bent, tip the pelvis over your head as the exhale does. The weight goes onto the hands, you transfer even more, so enough that you can slide the legs back into a plank and lower to chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Let's do that other side. So you've exhaled here in the forward bend. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine forward. And exhale. And that is the first part of the Khandu. The second part of the Khandu is where we come into these twisted ukatasanas, and we did that in the previous sun salutation, the développé. If you don't know that sun salutation, go ahead, check out that video. I'll put a link right here. So, the développé. We had this Vashisthasana where the arm was coming up. And remember I was talking about the shoulders are always pulling down on the inhale and exhale, and that determines what happens with the arm. So we've got this Vashi with the arm coming up, but this time the arm is going past the height of the shoulder. So in the développé, the arm came to the height of the shoulder, and then we exhaled and it pulled it back down because that's what will happen. This time we're going past the height of the shoulder. When you go past the height of the shoulder, on the inhale, to avoid the shoulder crunching into the ear and the neck, what needs to happen is a rotation of the arm. I'll do this profile, inhaling. And I'll now do it towards you. So that's how we get the arm higher than the shoulder without the shoulder crunching into the neck. There is a rotation. Rotation. I'll do this for you. Rotation. All right, so we've inhaled, rotated, gotten it past the arm past the height of the shoulder. Now, on the exhale, you're going to pull that shoulder blade down again. And what will tend to happen, or what the arm is more encouraged to do, is kind of go forward and down. And that's what we do in this Vashisthasana. We take it to a plank chaturanga. Here we go. Inhaling, up dog. Exhaling, twisted ukatasana. Dragging, I'm doing the right side, so I'm going to drag the right arm back. Inhale, Vashi. Take the arm past the height of the shoulder, so there's a slight rotation. And exhale, the arm comes forward and down. Plank, bend the elbows, chaturanga. And that's the first part of the exhale. I'll do it on this side before we talk about the second part of the exhale. Here we go. It's the up dog. Exhale, twist. Inhale, plank. Vashi, pass, rotate, exhale. Now, you notice that my chaturanga wasn't too low because that's only half of that exhale. The rest of that exhale pushes you back to a downward facing dog. You really have to move, intentionally move the hips, the pelvis back and up. If you don't do that, it becomes an arm movement, a strength movement through the triceps and biceps and forearms. Granted, you'll get big arms, but you're not doing the technique. So it all has to work together. So let's do that. Here we go. Let's take it from the twist. Inhaling. Exhaling. Remember, your shoulders are back. The neck is long. It's not here. It's here. Second time, second side. Twist. Inhale. Exhale. Okay. So now, this is going to get a little bit more complicated. Let's go to the first twist. What I just taught you now is the second twist. In the Khandu, there are 2 twists. In the Khandu, there are 2 twists. So you've done your back, your lift back, or let's say, it's a lift back, chaturanga, up dog. The first twist is just very simple, very simple. So you've chaturanga, up dog. It's a simple twist with the ukatasana, and the arm that you, the side that you're twisting to, which is my right, just simply drags back and stays on the ground. No lift, no flare. And then straight into up dog. And then you do the second twist, and you go through the vashi, down dog. I'll do it this side. Simple twist. Here we go. Up dog. First twist. Up dog. Second twist. Through the vashi, down dog. It is such a good feeling. It's such a whoosh feeling. Why did I teach it that way? Because I wanted to nail down what happens in that vashi moment. The first twist is just simple, elegant, refined, beauty. All right, let's finish off this sun salutation. You're in the downward dog. How do you get it forward? Previous sun salutations, we were stepping into the short lunge. Baby, that's over. From here on out, it just gets harder. So you're here in your downward facing dog. Once again, I'll do this catty corner for you. Now you've exhaled here. At the very end of that exhale, the knees bend slightly. I'm wondering if my socks are going to hold up here. They're not really good for jumping. So that the inhale, and you land on bent knees. You are mimicking the same way that you went down. You went down through this posture, and now you're coming up through this posture. I wouldn't necessarily call it a ukatasana. It's more like a forward bend with bent knees. The sitting bones are back. So you've inhaled here. Remember, the inhale pulls the rib cage forwards, and the knees go forward with that. And then the exhale, you push the sitting bones up over the head, elongating the hamstrings. Remember, the rib cage stays lengthened. You do not collapse. And then inhale, high arch. Let's do it this side before we put it all together. So you're in your down dog. The knees are bent. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Okay. Let's do the can do. Here we go. Prayer. We're going to link both sides together. Inhale, high arch. And exhale, forward bend. Inhale, bend. And exhale, lift it nice and slowly. Keep the knees bent, engage the muscles of the back, and chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. First twist. To the left, simple, simple. Up dog. Now to the right. We're going through the vashi. Inhale. Rotate that shoulder to get the arm. And exhale. Through chaturanga, down dog. Bend the knees at the end. Inhale. And exhale. High arch. Let's link it to the second side. Here we go. Exhale. Bend the knees. exhale. Up dog. Now this is the second side. Twist right first. Up dog. Down. Switch. Through Vashi. Down dog through Chadi. And take it forward. Forward bend. High arch. Circle down. Good job. I'm sweating. It's a hard one. Yeah, it's one of the hardest of the basic 5. I will give it that. But there are moments of beauty and grace in it. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one. The walking splits.